So I'm just camped up at the moment at Lake Alicia, I think. It's the source of the Wallace River. Incidentally, we've got the logo, its namesake, the river namesake. Today wasn't incredibly easy. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, after having been on the couch for the last 7 weeks, or in the bed for 7 weeks. Yeah, I mean, considering 4 days ago I was still having pretty bad headaches, to have just kind of minor headaches today is pretty alright, really. Yeah, I sort of took my time, about 4 or 5 swims along the way, and just kind of slowly plodded my way up, a few sleeps. Didn't quite make it as far as I wanted. I would have preferred to make it all the way up around there, but yeah, I don't know. Tomorrow I guess I'm just expecting maybe I'll just pack some gear and get up there and see if I can even rig one line, if I've got the energy for that. Yeah, I might have to just come back another time if I don't. Otherwise, it's beautiful to be able to get up here again, to be able to see how well the gear goes on the approach. It's a bit of a heavy pack, but it's still manageable, and I think if I was a bit fitter, do a lot better. So, not much of a view here, but probably half an hour from the campsite this morning. That's just over in there somewhere. Let's see if you can see Joan from here. Oh, somewhere up over there in the sun. Anyway, it's still going. Maybe another hour and a half, 2 hours to the top. Start rigging there. Whew. It's taken a full 48 hours to get from way out the lake systems over there to here. Let's put some lines up. Fuck, I'm exhausted. There's the gear. So I've just built this anchor here. Couple whoopies, master point, rope and webbing down there. So now I'm going to abseil down, taking them together, and then climb up this thing, pull it tight, should be able to walk back. So it's 2 o'clock now. It's coming up to the hottest part of the day, and it's a hot day. So I've just walked that line, I've taken the backup off, and it's been hard to see, but basically this line here goes all the way to the anchor. So I'm going to go and release that anchor down there, let the whole thing slide out, climb back up, pull it in. We'll do a bit of an abseil off here then, with like a rethreaded rope just on the webbing as a redirect to get over there. And then and then talk about wrapping in, climbing that side to rig the short line and the bigger one, just as it gets nice and hot. So after all that, and I already regret it, I've bailed on the mission. So I had webbing going from here to there, and I'd abseiled with the rope through here, got to the pinnacle. Just thought, 3, 2, 1, fuck it, pulled the rope through. So now I'm committed, I'm on the pinnacle with the rope, all my gear, and just a single strand of webbing heading out. But obviously getting back from that's really difficult. You kind of have to continue with the whole mission, climb the other side, rig another 2 more high lines, and then traverse all the way back, pull all the ropes. I don't know, it just got to the point where I was like, the next step was even more committing, which was wrapping. So just ran out of battery on the other one, or not battery, video footage. But basically, yeah, one of the most challenging things I've ever kind of pushed through already, just to break those barriers, was really cool. And there's still so much to go. Like, I've still got to get all the way back out to those lakes in the distance. Yeah, it was a period where I spent, good, I don't know if you can see in there, spent about 2 hours in there just asleep, trying to just conserve water, because it's down to the last 600 mil. I've still not got much now. I'm out of water now. I've just got to run. The next water is about an hour away, and I've just been taking about a sip every 25 minutes or something, taking like just one mouthful for the last probably 5-6 hours at least. So I thought, man, committing further to the traverse, it's all well and good if everything goes well, but as soon as like one rope gets stuck, the webbing gets caught on something, the webbing's too damaged to roll across on. If that happens, I'm stranded over there on the South Peak. And if I'm stranded, the only way down is to climb all the way down to the bottom of the valley with nothing but barefoot and my climbing shoes, and then hike all the way back up through like scree slopes and super dangerous terrain, while leaving all this gear up here, be going into the night barefoot, like a solid like 3Ks of just horrendous bush bashing. So I thought that risk was just a little bit too high to take. But especially, the wind picked up a little bit, so there were, still bullshit sunny and hot. Like climbing the pitch, the grade 17 trad pitches, fully in the sun the whole day. So the rock was really hot. Just wasn't worth it, that risk. So I got the 47 done, that was fun. But then still had to just worked myself into a cruxy situation on top of the foresight. A band stranded out there. It was essentially a rope and a bunch of rope pro, a couple bits of trad gear and whatnot. So I managed to bail off that and climb back out the grade 16 side sort of here, kind of free soloed that, because it was all in the shade. It's sort of quite ledgy, so it's not too bad. Yeah, and you had to place one bit of gear. So that was all very reasonable, but otherwise, there we have it. Up alive, safe to come back. This one, another time. So I've still got a bit of way to hike back to camp, all the way down past all those lakes. I wanted to mention something about solo rigging. It's not at all about the difficulty of rigging the line. I think in many cases it's actually easier to rig by yourself, mostly just because of how how much thought you put into it beforehand. You've got a plan. Whereas normally group of two even, you just go straight into it and you don't even think about it. It takes the same amount of time. But it's the patience. The sitting there by yourself, instead of just being able to like chat and have a good time, you know, knowing like this whole trip all the way up here, and oh, man, the next 2 days I'm not super looking forward to. The amount of free time, just in silence, doing nothing, just waiting, because you know if you go now, it's gonna be the sun. You know, there's no point getting there earlier because you'll just be waiting at the other end. You just have to pace it all out, just fill these voids of nothing. And I think that's a bit easier when you're at your van or in comfort at your own home. You just got things, you can distract yourself a little bit easier. You're literally just sitting in nature, nothing, exhausted as well on top of it all. That's the most challenging part for sure. So a mission like this, I'd love to come back and do it again, but motivation is low right now. Spent 3 days out in the wilderness by yourself. So even, I've just been thinking the last couple minutes, go into the sun. Yeah, so what I've just been thinking the last couple minutes is even literally the most technically challenging, most dangerous, like technique-based set of highlines, the whole package trip that I could possibly imagine, still just boring as fucking shit. Yeah, even doing it with a pair, to the point where like both of you just never talk the whole time. You don't interact at camp. You still do the exact same, just isolate and don't, you know, keep that mental game there. You just have more space to be able to bring like a book. So there's a little bit more on those the, I don't know, level of danger front to like kind of put things a bit more in perspective, just while they're on my mind again. Yes, so there was like the decision I had before me when I decided to turn around was about a 70% chance that it would be totally fine, you know, that I'd make it through to all that. There's about a 30% chance that the most harrowing experience of my life would be before me, of, you know, 3 kilometers of barefoot bush bashing with a full trad rack, up and down some insane vertical terrain, and half of that with no water, and then his shit tons of gear still up on the hill, not enough food to go back up and get him, just total shit show. Like that 30% was pretty big. But then what really did it for me is the 70% of it being fine wasn't really being fine. It was still the consideration of probably having to drink my own piss to stay hydrated enough, still having to do some pretty sketchy shit, but 70% chance, I guess, getting away with it all. And then still having to hike back all the way back to camp in the dark, at least by a route that was much safer and easier, and with shoes. But no, faced with that decision, even though it was a pretty dicey sort of bail that I had to do in order to bail away from it, the bail was significantly better than both of those options. And yeah, maybe on a calmer day with clearer skies, or, you know, cooler weather, and not having been sick for 7 weeks straight before jumping into this, yeah, maybe I would have gone for it. But yeah, I don't know, that barefoot bush bash option was not really an option I was worth considering. Where's the water at? Finally back to some water. So if I'd continued, I would have been out there for another like 2 more hours into the dark, essentially, with that much water left, and my piss, obviously. That would have been would have kept me going. You tell me. south spur doesn't need a fucking line rigged on it. Hasn't been done yet. That's it. That's the 4. Yeah, 1 there, 3 up there, and that one. Fucking south spur needs a line mount. Back down. All the way up in these mountain ranges. Back to the river.